In our Faith in America segment this week, are Americans abandoning Christianity? Are they abandoning faith in God generally? And why is it happening? And did the pandemic restrictions actually make it worse? Joining us to discuss is the president of the Southern Evangelical Seminary, Phil Ginn, and Father Leo Patalinghug, founder of Plating Grace, and the host of Savoring Our Faith on EWTN, which I think is a new show. Congratulations, Father, on that. Mr. Ginn, I want to start off with you. Let's take a look at some of the numbers. In 1972, more than 90% of the folks in this country identified as Christian. Now 63%. And the nuns or atheists in this country have grown substantially since 2007. Your initial thoughts when you see the numbers trending toward 50, down toward 50, they're actually below 50 already in the UK.
Well, I honestly think if you look at the real statistics of true Christianity, it's far lower than that. But I would say to you that God always does his best work with the remnant. So I am not in fear. I've read the book of Revelation, and I know how this thing is going to end. I am in fear for our nation, however. The one thing I would say is that 77% of people who were asked by Barna about this same thing said that they were searching. So maybe this is the church's time to quit cowering in fear and come from out from behind their walls.
Well, searching is a good thing. You know, people saying, okay, I need something more. That would definitely be good. Father, studies consistently show people of faith have lower rates of depression, mental illness, drug abuse, divorce, incarceration. They tend to be happier and more fulfilled. With all of the societal corrosion that we see every day, why is it, though, so hard to get people to kind of make that connection between how they do down here and their relationship with up there?
Theology, when followed appropriately, definitely governs well our psychology, our biology, and our sociology. The difficulty is that atheism has become a little militant. When that atheism grows, it increases relativism, which basically means there is no objective truth. When that happens, then communism takes over because communism says we have the truth. And so it's a vicious cycle that we have to kind of break. And the way we do it is by giving people authentic experiences of God, of Jesus Christ, and what church is supposed to be, a spiritual family.
Yeah. Pope Benedict XVI talked a lot about the rise of relativism, of moral relativism. Mr. Ginn, there's a difference between religion and faith, though. You know, people are distrusting institutions more and more. Government, the media, schools. Is a strategy here to focus on people having faith rather than focusing on specific denominations? Because I think that the interplay or sometimes the division, rather, between a lot of the Christian denominations might be off-putting to folks.
I think that's probably true. What I see is that the church has been unwilling or unable to come out from behind its walls and meet people where they are and as they are. And that's a significant difference. At Southern Evangelical Seminary, we've been doing that for over 31 years and providing reasonable answers to questions that even skeptics have. We welcome skeptics into our midst to answer these questions. And I think that's what we've got to do as Christians.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting that people of faith have now been demonized and to the point where I think you have a lot of folks who say, well, if you're a person of faith or if you're a Christian, well, you're exclusionary, which is and not inclusive. But obviously, the message of Christ in the Bible is an inclusive message. Father, how much do you think the government lockdowns during the pandemic pulled people away from their faith communities or helped contribute to some of these numbers that we're seeing?
Well, it certainly had influence, because when people hear from authorities like the government that says that church is not essential, then they start to think that, is church really essential? So I commend those churches that did everything they could to outreach to people. But it also, in God's grace, will give families the opportunity to remember that they are the domestic church. So while I want people to come to their spiritual home, their church, their community, they have to also make sure church is practiced at home, around the dinner table, which is what I call the domestic church's altar, which is what we're trying to do at Plating Grace. get people to eat together, talk together, pray together, serve each other.
Yeah, and again, I think that goes to Mr. Ginn's point of meeting people where they are. Mr. Ginn, what is your message? Just 30 seconds here, and I'll give Father an opportunity as well. What's the message for the nation's evangelical leaders about how to reignite the faith?
Well, my first message would be of good courage. We know what the end result is going to be, and as we look at that, we need to have that courage sufficient enough to get us from out behind our pulpits and out behind the doors of the church and go into these people where they are with the message of a God who loves them so much that he sent his son to die for their sins on the cross, and he rose again on the third day. So as I indicated earlier, God uses a remnant. And we are that remnant, and it's time for us to act like we are Christ's true church in America.
All right, Father, 15 seconds. I know the Catholic Church doesn't move quickly on things, doesn't take to change very much, but your real quick thoughts on that.
Obviously, we have to meet people where they're at, and that's why with my food truck, serving people amazing food, we got to touch people's hearts and minds by going through their stomachs.
All right. Everybody's going to have a different approach. There's not just one approach to doing this. Phil Ginn and Father Leo Patalinghug, thank you both. We appreciate the conversation today.
My pleasure, sir.